All right, Finn Pounds. Really stoked to do this, dude.
Yeah, man.
I got my coffee, my sugar, so I think I'm ready to go because I was until 4 a.m. at Battle of the Border last night.
Yeah, my voice is pretty gone. I was doing my part trying to keep the crowd rowdy during freestyle, and sometimes you sacrifice the pipes a little bit, but in the end, it's all worth it.
Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I think we just catch up at every demo event like I do with most players.
Totally.
And, you always just have some kind of analysis. I know people say that I'm an analytical person, but I know you're extremely analytical. And then you have the tools of having a math degree from Tufts?
Math, physics,
and
double degree, double major from Tufts.
Yeah. So you can go deep.
And that's where we're going today.
Yes, we're going today. So I'm excited to just talk about everything and anything. You've been in the game for how long now?
So I started in 2012.
Okay.
My high school friend got me into it. I think I was a sophomore. And my family had just moved from the Bay Area in California out to the Boston area. And in California, never encountered Dama.
Okay.
But it was like the spring. I was starting up this new high school. I had some friends. And one day, one of them, this guy, Matt Saracino, if you're watching this, shout out. He learned about Kendama, I think, from this free skiing guy, JP Auclair.
Yep, that's my path too.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people's paths.
It's a lot of people's paths, and he was a big free skier guy, and he introduced me to it, and I have not put it down since.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it's been. I think in April it'll be a full 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Full 13.
Full 13.
The Gallagher's around 13. It was like a few weeks ago. So. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people. Yeah. That's like the OGs.
Yeah, that whole generation. We did a really cool meeting at NACO.
Yeah.
The OGs Anonymous seminar. I think we had close to 300 years of combined Kendama time in that room.
Wow.
It was amazing to hear everyone share their perspectives, where they've gotten to, how they think about Kendama after all this time. And it's cool that so many people have put so much thought into this incredibly simple game.
I heard that I think Gallagher came back from that, and like they thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah. That was one of the most impactful parts of NACO for me, 100%.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, dude, what originally got you into it? What was it about Kendama that made you like it and want to play?
So, I never did anything that was hand-eye related.
Okay.
When I was growing up, it was biking, running, soccer, longboarding. Nothing where I was ever
adrenaline sports
speed based kind of sports.
Soccer's kind of like sport. Yeah, just fucking
like my favorite thing is like an aerobic activity where you're moving through space and you have to control your path. And Kendama was the first thing that it was the opposite of that. It was a hand-eye coordination thing. You're in a fixed point. You're standing still, but something about it really got me. Like I just remember kind of. I don't know if I immediately really saw the vastness of Kendama, like how many tricks there were, but it felt like such a sandbox.
Yeah,
and
that's like ever expanding. Like you just know that there's just too many.
When we were playing Kendama that first day on like the quad at this high school, like I didn't watch any videos of people doing tricks or whatever. I remember, I was trying to do like small cut, but you pull it up and like catch it like here. And
you're doing Finn Pound shit back when there was no Finn Pound.
Exactly. Like I don't know, something about it. Like I never had that. You know, some people you see them play and their body's just completely still, and it just all happens in their hand in a box. Yeah. You know, you've got a few of those on your team.
Yeah.
I always like compensated for my lack of fine motor skills with like macro motor skills. So just like really laying out to get tricks, using a lot of knees to slow down time and all of that. And I think that like set the path towards the kind of tricks that I enjoy now. But it's been cool to see the shift. Like I never could juggle or yo-yo or even like throw a frisbee, and now like I'll pick up 3 balls. I can kind of juggle. Like I started playing disc golf the other year. It's cool. 13 years of concerted practice.
Do you think it's because you didn't do it when you were little, or do you think like it's like a generational thing, like your parents never learned how to throw a ball?
Oh yeah. No, it's like I think it's for sure like one of those nature nurture splits where you know, some people kind of have it.
Yeah.
Some people like they manipulate the object with their hands. It just kind of goes out like early Alex Mitchell. I know he grinded a lot, but he always had that
it
like
feels like he has.
Yeah, that level of precision was just like innate. But also you can't. You know, you can change yourself for sure. Like I.
Well, now your kids are gonna be ready to rip.
Dude, hopefully. They're
gonna be like, oh yeah, he must have just had it in his nature this entire time.
Yeah, and then they're gonna be like, I've got that.
No, the dad loves it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like some epigenetic stuff. Yeah. Like, they'll get like activated and they'll just be dialed for life.
These children are just turned off forever.
Yeah, and one day they'll watch this.
The Pounds family.
Yeah. My kids can play your kids in Dama.
Dude, yeah. My kid's ready to go. She's 8 months, but she just like can touch it and knock it over.
Oh, she's well on her way.
First trick.
Yeah. Naru should be sweating.
Oh yeah. Well, he is sweating right now because he's playing.
He's playing right now, actually, 100%. I realized the other day, I think I've been playing Kendama since before Naru was born, and then I watch him throw 4-tap like way easier than I can do it. Yes. All right. It's inspiring is what it is, really.
Yeah, it is. Do you think with these young kids coming up, I mean, there's so many, especially like it's so cool to see the little Japanese girls.
Oh my God, incredible.
What's I forget her name, but it's just her bird juggle, nightingale juggle handle is just like so locked.
Perfect.
You know what I'm talking about? The little girl.
Really small. The name is evading me.
Mitzi or I don't know, but do you think in terms of getting like that good, is it time that they put in? Like, do you think, or do you think that their brains are so plastic and so like receiving, there's no judgment that they would just learn, their neurons would just like overlap quicker?
So, I don't know, because I know that the human brain is designed kind of, or it's evolved, however you think about it, to be really good at like picking up a language in a certain number of years in your early life.
Yeah.
And you know, some of that happens with sports too. A lot of people say like, oh, I wish I started younger so it felt more like natural to me. But I think the biggest part of it is being able to like speak the language and understand Kendama in its kind of totality. Like seeing a trick and being able to be like, oh, okay, well that trick has a structure to it and it has these elements and I can just put different elements in these slots. It's the same thing as using a language with words. It's like I have a sentence structure and if I put different words in different places with this syntax, I get different meanings.
I always think about it with like a mountain and a ski hill. How like there's all these ski hills that people just naturally go down. It's probably like a really cool vector that probably works the same if you can map it somehow. But but like
a least energy path or something.
There's like tiny little ones, you know, the new juggling tech that you're learning, but then there's the major ones of the juggling tech that you don't want to do anymore, and with your finger on the bass cup or whatever it is, you know. But then but I feel like with a kid, it's a fresh thing of snow, fresh powder. Totally. They just can go down anywhere.
Absolutely. I guess there's that. And then there's one thing that I've always wondered a little bit about, which is, you know, in like Olympic level gymnastics, that sport favors younger players.
Yeah.
I always wonder if, like in Kendama, if there's an extent like you can be really honed as a kid and then like go through puberty and have your body grow and stretch and like you have your arms are like 6 inches longer, and if you don't play during that period, you're trying to use old skills with a new you know with a whole new body. And I don't know, I feel like I've seen a lot of people play through that and continue to be like really, really good. So I don't know how that would shake out.
How puberty affects it.
But I've seen some people start from playing pretty young and you know, in the 13 years of playing Kendama, you get to see some people like grow up for real. And it doesn't seem like it's that much of a problem for people. It seems like that's not really holding anyone back too hard.
No, and I always like kind of, when we're talking about this kind of sense, I love thinking about it, but I always just go back to, if you're like, oh, Naru's too young, I'm never going to be as good as him, as a personal motivation thing, like, at least put in the hours that Naru has. You probably haven't done that. I think he played, if he's like 8 and he's been playing when he was 4 and he plays like a few hours a day, like that's a lot of hours he's already spent. The yoga is like 14, the best in the world. But dude, go back to his Instagram. He's playing every day after school for hours and hours and hours. And like, Yeah, maybe okay. Match his hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then like judge yourself. Okay, yeah, it's like the brain or whatever. But like you don't know.
Edwin too,
Edwin
right?
too, right?
Like,
yeah.
you know, hours and hours a day for years.
Yeah.
It's like, to a certain extent, if anyone does that, they will make monumental progress in Dama proportional to their like original aptitude and level of skill for it.
And they have different minds.
Yeah. But I think what you said made me think of something kind of interesting, where you say like you'll never be as good as them.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of ways you can measure goodness in Kendama, where I think the one you're thinking of is the one that I usually think about in terms of natural aptitude, which is just like mind-muscle connection, quickness, just like ability to like, you know, get that next 2 taps on your tap max. And then like some people have that and they lean on that for the like impressiveness of their clips, and it's incredible, and you can see it's like a skill level increase. But then there are people who, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of talking about myself here to some extent.
No, I feel you.
But the game is more about arranging the concepts together in novel ways. And like sometimes the tricks that I'm doing that feel like they're showcasing my skill, like they're my whatever I've put into Kendama up until this point, are not like high technicality tricks. They're things where it's like, I learned that bit 6 years ago. I thought of that little thing like 2 years ago, and I'm combining them with this structure I learned 3 years ago. And that's really satisfying. It's like whether you can speak a language, you know, like super fast and precisely and eloquently, or if you can like write prose. Yeah, totally.
We're defining good on a Kendama podcast, which is sick. Philosophy. Dude, I guess there's probably like a personal good of like, I think everybody's good, you know.
Oh yeah.
That I want to just put out there. But I think when I use the word good, I'm probably trying to invoke that they're doing things that other people can't do.
Totally, like relative good, like in terms of like standard deviation.
Whatever I can do on a Kendama, like, you know, when the people who I would think were really good, Ryoga and Edwin, would probably be able to do that really quickly.
Totally.
You feel that?
I feel that. I feel that 100%.
And then I can imagine like, but then and then I could just go down this rabbit hole doing things that I know that they can't do. And I still think, and then I'd progress those, and then they'd be really fucking weird. I mean, that's some of the tricks that you do, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think that definition would like map, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'd still consider it, you know. Like
I
consider you good because of the tricks that you could do, you know. Like I just because that is kind of my definition. Is like how many. Of all the tricks that we know and all the tricks that we don't know, how many can you do to a fluent level of fluency? Yeah.
It's like looking at, you know, people always talk about Kendama and like skill trees.
Yeah.
It's like
you have it all covered.
Yeah, it's like how many cumulative points do you have put in across all skill trees?
Yeah. How many Kendama points?
How many Kendama points do you have?
That's like we're just like measuring good.
Yeah, exactly.
So, eventually, I'll come down and then I'll like bring people to heaven or hell based on who's good enough.
Who's good enough? You set the line,
as
and then
Jesus Turner,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be a fun day.
you'll have a blast, dude.
Oh, yeah. I'll be well liked in the community. No, but I can see that tree map going, and then you know there's like this thing of like. Yeah, the new gen or the meta, right?
Yeah, like some branches of the tree are connected to others.
Yeah.
But you can't just go super far up the like tap branch and expect to have like the Zaki Goon pinch stuff automatically easy.
Yeah.
It's another way of like manipulating the axes of velocity of the two objects.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Because when I think of a well-rounded player, or just I guess like that good thing, it would be like, oh yeah, he's good at this trick, but.
Yeah, like someone like I don't know, like Brent Duffy, who's like, you know, like new gen phenom at the pinch loops, makes him look like super casual and chill in a way that not a lot of people are doing right now. But he does like tap dailies every day. Like he's trying to like up his tap max because he knows that that's kind of like going to the gym for Kendama, where you just up your overall facility with the object. So when you need to manipulate something really quickly in the moment, you just like have that quickness ready.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That helped me a lot too. Like, for a lot of years, I didn't really know any tap juggle tricks, and I think in like 2018 or 2019, Joe Nelson dared me tap jug, late jug, tap jug, spike, and I kind of started it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like so many ways to play kendama, and for me, one of them is just going out and trying to like tap max or tap spam or like late insta house, stuff like that, where it's like I'm pulling from tricks that have all been done before. They're all like clearly done milestones, like a route followed by many people in the community before me, but it's like the interesting bit about it is that it's like hard, and how you get yourself to bridge the gap between your current state of not being able to do it and your desired state of being able to do it. And that's always like, you can't just do that by like thinking around it. You gotta go straight through.
That's exactly like the sentiment that I mentioned when I did a Gallagher, it was like a presentation.
Oh, sick.
And I just said that, like, fuck the analytics, fuck the note cards, fuck everything. It's just the hours.
It's just the hours.
It's just the hours. And then, like, if you really understand that, like, we can talk about like more efficient stuff, like warm up before you play. So, like,
for sure, like stretching.
But like I feel like it's like 99% hours, and then that 1% like hit stilts before you go.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't really fucking matter.
Right. And there's like a whole thing where people who go to the gym a lot think a lot about how like ready their central nervous system is to do a lift. Like people in Dama are not being like, oh yeah, dude, my CNS is fried before I'm going on stage, like I'm cooked, or like my CNS is feeling great right now.
Yeah. But like as long as if you're thinking that, but you're not playing, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of like a I don't know, like a Plato's cave kind of thing. Like you could, if you like never had a kendama in your life and you just had a bunch of books, like very detailed descriptions of how to do every kendama trick, you could. And you had all the time in the world. You could live forever. You could study a book on how to juggle ghost stunt fast for 600 years and come out and still need another like 5 to get there. You'll miss Big Cup. Yeah,
that's exactly the example that I want to provide people, that like at the end of the day, it's just for the hours that you put in.
And some, like Austin Donovan has a nice quote where there's a trick to every trick. But I think that
that is
the one thing that misses is that sometimes the trick is literally just bashing your head against it until it goes. Like some things, it's like there are mental cues where you can kind of trick your own brain to unlearn a bad habit or get something in a better place so you can spike it. But at the end of the day, some things, to be able to even get to that point of thinking about it, you have to get to a point of facility with the overall movement, and then you can start tweaking it.
Yeah, I wonder. Let's go down to that. It's like be kind of hone into that. Because like, I think we've all been learning a trick, and then you learn the trick to the trick, and then it really helps. Like a good example is a fast hand lighthouse. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna hold it really close to the base cup, and then it's like that's the trick that I learned, and then I got it. Yeah. And it's so funny that I think good players and like players that can execute, I wonder how many of those tricks that they have. I wonder if they think about those tricks before they're performing at an open division. I wonder, like Yasu, do you think what makes him so amazing at kendama is that he has all these tricks?
No. Yeah, that's like a really good leading question, because like not at all, right? Like I was talking to Elliot Patterson the other day, and he said like the best way to do 6-tap, higher levels of tap is to not count as you go. Is to think about it as one motion where you're just spinning it in the air going up. And like, that's going to work much better on a stage than like, for me, I have one strategy when I'm trying to learn tricks that are like higher numbers of a thing I do before, where I'm like, for 5-tap, for example, I'm like, I do 2-tap, and then I forget I even did a 2-tap, and then I'm 3-tap.
Boom, boom, boom. Yep.
And that works great if you're set up in front of your phone tripod and you're trying to all the time in the world to hit this trick, and you can like feel where your last attempt went wrong and try to make a correction based on that. But that's filming a trick to do once on your own. That's not just like having the thought to do it, having a thought to do it, and then just having it go through you.
You're saying that there's a like, I'm trying to like map the brain there. The one route of you're going for the 5-tap in front of your phone. If you were to just send the 5, you'd miss the first or second, right? Because you're so looking at the 5.
Yeah.
But then you get the 2 down, and then you get the 3, and you keep practicing. Months go by, you keep going, and then eventually that gets engraved into a 5-tap where.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually the tricks blend and squish together.
I was able to 5-tap once I could throw 3-tap.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then it's basically, it's that. It's like...
and then because you 5-tap without thinking of a trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one trick. Yeah. It wasn't...
It came together.
Execution. Yeah. It was just, all right, time to 5-tap.
Yeah, well, 4 taps like that for me now. It used to be like, oh, I'll try to do like 2-2 or something, but now it's like, it's one motion.
Yeah. And that's exactly... Because, I mean, I literally, majority of my play is just progressing taps. So I really do enjoy it. And,
respect.
Yeah. And I've definitely found that where if I'm pushing to hit 10 again, I'm gonna like think of as many tricks as I can with 6 and 4s and 2s and...
Totally.
Or if it's just like doing a bunch of 10s without juggling, which is kind of Elliott method, which I really like too. I like that. But then if I like... I was doing 6 juggle 6 for like probably 2.5 hours last night. I said I wouldn't go to bed until 8.
Oh, like 6 swap throw 6, like no jug.
Yeah.
And hard.
And I found that at one point the 6s was a 2 and a 4 or a 4 and a 2, or it was even some other kind of trick that I had to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And then eventually it blends together into like, I think of one thing actually now, which is just going up.
Yeah,
and
totally.
then, if I miss like 10 attempts and I'm not, mindful, I'll just think like the one thing, which is to go up. But I think
the
one
you
thing...
have to suspend it in the air. Like,
you need to
impart upward
2-2-2.
force to it, otherwise it's just going to like sink.
Yeah, but then that's also a trick, right? It's a trick to the trick is going up. Or then like, it go faster. That's a trick of the trick. And then I think, what you're saying originally, the point was that Yasu... There's no tricks to the trick anymore. It's just execution.
It's just pure, like, think of and do. It's like the same way of, like, like I'm going to do around the world. And it's just like...
No, There's no tricks.
There's no, like, when I do the small cup, I'm really thinking about, like, throwing the Thomas straight up and doing a perfect rotation.
Which is what it used to be, right?
Which is where everyone starts.
Everyone starts, yeah.
Yeah, but eventually it's just so committed. Like, your brain doesn't have to... It's kind of like... the problem is like trying to get through a city, basically. So like you're on one side of the city, not having hit the trick, and the trick is on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
And at first, when you're learning that, you got to learn your route through the neighborhoods,
and
squares, and everything. And it's like sometimes you'll take a convoluted route or whatever.
Yeah.
Something. Mastering that trick is like doing a construction project where you just put like an above ground highway artery from your point 1 to point 2, and you don't have to do that like, how do I get myself there anymore? You're just like, I'm hopping on highway 4-tap, I'm straight there.
I thought with this example where you were going was, you move to a new town and you can see the big building that you want to get to.
Yeah.
And so, but then you take the one highway and it goes this way, then you need to come back a little bit.
Yeah. I guess it works too if you're like, I learned my route there.
Yeah. And then eventually you might have to, that route now, but then you have to find a better route, which is kind of like find a different trick to the trick.
Yeah.
And then in a year, you are thinking about work the entire time. You're not even thinking about where to go, how to go. You just go.
You're like, I'm stuck at this light again. But you know it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's totally right.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way of putting
it. Yeah. For sure, dude. I wanted to talk about expressing yourself through Kendama. I think you do a really good job of that. I've really always thought that was pretty cliche to say. I never really understood the sentiment of expressing yourself, but I recently...
I was like, how? Do you just doing tricks? But then at a certain point it clicked to me. I was like, this is how I show my inner world.
Yeah. Like when I see a Finn trick or Yasu or anybody, you can see the way they do that trick. You can see how their brain is working, and almost at a personal level. It's very personal.
Window to the soul.
Doesn't matter what they say. Yeah. They can say different things, but you can kind of know what their needs and desires are based on how they do a trick.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I think Kendama brings that out of people just because of its perfect simplicity. It's just a blank canvas. It's 3 cups and a spike and some weird shaped things, and you can put it all together in kind of different ways. But there are so many paths through Kendama.
Yeah,
and I talk about this a lot when I'm singing the praises of G standards.
Yeah,
where I think Kendama has something to offer everyone.
Everybody.
Because Kendama, it does that. It lets you take a look inside at how you work. It pulls it out of you and puts it in a contraption that you're manipulating with your hands. And it's like from those first choices of like, okay, I can do around the world. Like, am I going to choose I'm going to do orbit, big cup, orbit. I'm going to do, juggle, big cup, back to big cup or something like that. And it builds and builds and builds and builds. And after, let's say 5 years of playing, you have so many hours of making little choices that are dictated by the person you are of how to engage with this skill toy that is a blank canvas with infinite possibilities. It's like, it almost has to do that because not a lot of people play the exact same. It's like everyone's play style is a reflection of it's proportional to like a reflection of their personality times just like that is expressed proportional to how much time and effort they've put in. And like for me, I don't know, I do a lot of up and down knees movement kind of stuff, and a lot of that's like inspired by bonds, but a lot of it goes back to what we were talking about earlier where I just like lacked that small motor control at first and compensated by using macro movements to kind of get it to go. And now like whenever I do a trick, like I have that, like sometimes I'll like lay out to save a trick and it's not like I'm not like that's the trick to the trick is this giant lunge over here. Like the trick to the trick is the fact that when the Tama's in that position, Ken's in this position, my body just immediately knows. It just takes over, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like I'm on the ground after a trick, and I'm like I didn't mean to do that. I just like wanted the spike, and that's it, I have no control over that. It's just expression, unadulterated, unattenuated expression. It just comes through.
It's expressing something that you don't even know of yourself.
Totally.
There's the inner parts of yourself that you don't know.
It's almost like getting like someone like hypnotizes you and it's just like go crazy, do your most inner like thoughts. It just Kendama does that.
You tell a psychologist a fetish and then you snap out of it. You're like, why did I say I liked?
Like,
you said you like this, bro.
Like,
you said you like trees. You're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Dude, you just jumped like 4 feet to the side to get that spike and like fell, and you're like, oh, I don't know, but I spiked it though. So, like after freestyles, a lot. This happens to me. I think this happens to a lot of people actually. Is you get off stage and you're like, that was sick. What did I do? I can't remember a single piece of what I did. I was just.
Exactly happened to me this freestyle. I thought it was like the worst performance of all time, but then I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I had tripped over foot. Like I thought I did not know I did that. It happens all man.
So it pulls it out of you. And it's also like it's the physical aspect of it too. But I think it's also important to think that it's like what tricks you choose. Because you're also like it's like what are you drawn to? In Kendama, are you like you want to be like an inward loon god? You want to like be a tap honer? Do you want to be a string flow wizard? Like,
I really like to group players into 2 groups, which is never going to be like perfect, right? But like
no binary classifier is perfect.
Well, as much as I like it.
As much as I like, human brain, simple relationship.
Dude, that's me, bro. Like 100%. I feel like the first trick that somebody does, it can be, there's a scale of it, but it's like, I want to do something that I haven't seen yet, and I want to do something that I have seen yet.
Oh, great way of putting it.
And I think that open and freestyle, that Gallagher and Yasu, I can kind of see the spectrum of play, And open and freestyle is kind of like the thing, Not to say that the Gallaghers weren't good at freestyle, but
I also I think the Gallaghers don't get enough credit for their for some creativity and innovation. Because everyone says now they're like, oh, Gallagher style tricks, I'm doing all these dub insta stilt flip. That's not me. I don't know.
No.
But
I agree.
Stuff of that, peak 2018, 2016 Nick Gallagher 1.5 throw stilt out of all these jug sandwich lines. That wasn't super around before, right? They sort of did some paving of the way.
They did.
And they did some they're associated now with helping people learn tricks that have already been done, guiding people down the path that they've taken. But they did have that I want to do something I've never seen before
Yeah, but I can almost think
something new.
Maybe I didn't define like the groups totally right, because I think the first trick, it's like what I saw somebody do a stilt, I'm gonna do a stilt, or like I saw somebody do this weird throw thing, I'm gonna try to throw it this way, right?
Or it's like, the stilt game is here, but like in my mind it could be here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that's more of the Gallagher's too.
Yeah.
Not the Gallagher's specifically, but just that group of thinking.
Yeah.
That of that I think we all kind of have. We can all go down each route. But I'm just using the term Gallagher to describe it. But it's
Lotus Kendamas.
yeah. It's like, okay, the stilt is a trick, and you can pave the way for people by hitting 5 stilt 5 times.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. You redefine what's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely
you push the ceiling.
You push the ceiling.
My cross country track coach used to say, like, in training, like, the ceiling becomes the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I often see, I think, the Japanese, they're introducing Kendama in a different way. It's more of a sport. They have KWC, and I think they really they will practice KWC tricks all year. And I think they often get associated in that group for me because Ryoga, when he's playing, you can just name the KWC tricks that are part of the KWC trick that he's done.
Even Yasu has a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Where, like, for
Yasu,
sure. Really, because he'll do, like, cup level 12s, and then he'll, like, hit some,
Yeah. But what's funny with Yasu? It's almost like you would think that he's in that freestyle.
Totally.
But that's really Soma. Isn't that Soma?
It's pure Soma.
That's Soma versus
dude.
And then you would think, and then Yasu's probably somewhere in the middle. Obviously, everybody's at a spectrum.
Yasu's a really interesting hybrid player. I think this hits on something interesting to me in Kendama too, because the way Kendama was originally practiced in Japan before it spread, and then all those styles of play back propagated to Japan. It was all about Dan rankings, like how many times in a row can you hit a clean pull-up lighthouse. It's about consistency. It's about, like, these are the tricks, I can do all of them consistently and well. But what that analysis misses is the fact that they also had Zumadanke before anyone else. They
already had that shit.
And Yasu is, like, the perfect middle point of that. Like, his cup runs are, like, all level 12s. He's like, if I can do this, I'll just big body this whole comp, like, light work. But, like,
he doesn't do it, but he tries.
But then he's like hanging out with EG and learning like some sick b-boy movements. And so it's like he's got those opposite ends of the spectrum, and he just is somewhere in the middle,
And I want to just but just say that nothing is right or wrong. Like, it's just as inspirational to see Nick taking that 5-5, and then also inspirational to see Soma making a twirl look cool.
Totally. And the other thing too is that, like, if it's not inspirational for you, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you watch the Gallagher's play and you're like, oh my god, 5x5 stilt flip is like the coolest thing I've ever seen anyone do in my life, and they watch Soma play and they're like,
I don't get it.
It looks kind of soft.
It looks easy.
But like, I mean, they're wrong. But but
it's fine.
It's fine because, like,
it's expressing yourself.
Yeah. It's like letting Kendama be a foil for your personality. It's what it brings out of you. It's like Kendama draws you along a path based on what you like.
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say? Yeah. Or you could be the total opposite way around, right? You could be like 5x5 stilt flip. How, like, it's like
he didn't
hard,
think of anything.
simple. It's like, he there was no ideation. He just pushed the concept. Like, like, what's next? Like 6-6-6. Like,
let me guess. I already know. I already named the next one. 7-7-7.
Let me guess. Right? But it's cool to, like, bump up against those thresholds. But you could also be like, man, that, like, Soma just, like,
the way he twirls
and plays with verticality and altitude and speed.
He's doing big cup to small cup, and it's just
exactly. And it's like he's doing it in a way that no one has done it before. Like, it's not like there's just one way to do a trick perfect and clean. It's like you let the way you do the trick be the way you express it, as opposed to, like, the construction of the trick or the selection of the trick.
But your point is that people, they can gravitate towards
it's just like whatever gets you going, And for me, I like all of it. For sure.
Me too.
All of it.
I find myself in the middle for the most part, and really liking both.
I mean, I guess the way I started playing originally was, I do think I go a little, like, I'm kind of known for being having a lot of Soma side, like having a lot of tricks, flowy, creative, not as, like, technical, tough. But when I started playing, the way I learned was I would go through Kendama World Cup lists.
Yeah, okay.
And anytime an open trick list, I mean, to this day, anytime any open trick list for any event comes out, I like sesh it like a crossword puzzle.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like that's all.
Wait, what do you mean? You just go around or?
No, I just run through it.
Oh, run through it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like it's kind of like the more tricks you do, the more you're. Oh yeah, that's kind of similar to this, like MKO open trick, or like that's like that, like 2013 5-5 or like something like that, and then a trick list comes out and you're like, oh yeah, like I could do all these, but like then you're like, oh, there's so many tricks, I might as well check that I can do all these. Yeah, like my favorite kind of list is a top 16 list. That's just like, oh, give me like an hour in a top 16 list, I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's funny too, because I mostly express myself through the Gallagher side. But if you go to my early clips and like what I really liked, I started with new shit.
I just flashed back to this Lotus edit that you made a really long time ago, and that OG Isaac flow.
There's some new shit in there, yeah, for sure, bro.
Totally.
Man, it's so cool, dude.
It's going great.
Dude. Yeah, goosebumps, dude. I haven't been able to talk with anybody about this. Yeah, it's so cool, man. So there's a few routes we can go down. There's I want to go through, and consistency is something that is so, it's like a god to me, it's a never-ending thing that you'll never get to. But
it's a vanishing point.
But
Zeno's paradox. You're just getting a little closer, but you'll never get there.
Right. Yeah. But I wonder what thoughts you have on consistency, if it intrigues you, or if you're more of like the hit it and run.
So the way I'm a little, I love one and done. Just like downhill skateboarding, like super hot spot, and just like have your follow car and
never do that again.
Get out of there. Yeah, no, it's like, I mean, I have tricks like that. Like, I like second teed fish to bird at this event like 3 years ago, and Brent saw it, and I was like, I'll never film that, dude.
Like,
sick.
Yeah, done. Yeah.
The way I think about consistency, though, is, or at least the way I've told people I think about consistency for a long time, is I try to get consistent insofar as it helps me learn new tricks. If you're not grinding out all the skill trees, you're not going to be able to ascend up all the skill trees. And if you can't throw 4-tap, you can't 4-4-4.
Yeah.
And I want to hit as many tricks as I can in this blessed life we all have on this planet. Yeah. And if I just truly try to create a new way to go big cup to small cup every day, like I could do that, but I want a lot of it. And I want kind of all of it. And like that's why I'll spend time in the proverbial gym of tap tricks. Like I got an 8 last year. I'd love to hit a 10 sometime soon, but I might save it for when I'm 31 so I can take it record.
Dude, that would
God
be sick.
willing, if my knees are fine, but yeah, like I want all of it. I'm not gonna concede and be like, 10 tap takes too much grinding. It's like, it takes exactly as much grinding as it takes to get 10 tap, and then I'll have fucking 10 tap, and that's sick. Consistency insofar as it helps me learn new tricks. I did this trick in this video I made with Matt and my friend Shane, the Liquid Light Show video, where I did around Lighthouse, just like the throws from all the caps, around lunar, around inward lunar, and then the ender was 3-turn inward falling in.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, dude, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
you need to do the lighthouses.
You need to be able to inward 3-turn falling in. Yeah. Also. So it's just go get all of it.
Yeah, I at the start of every year I kind of think of the direction I want to go in for Lotus, and I wrote down some cool quotes, and I last year I put a lot of thought into that of creativity versus gym practice. And I came to the exact same conclusion that you did, that creativity, flow, fun, play, it expands as you hit the gym.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I hit in cold hands too. Yeah. I did 4 tap, juggle, tension, base cut.
That's exactly
and
it.
then I did like some weird like pressure around a tension lighthouse, and then swap, throw, 4 tap, jug, spike. And I was like, I could not like, that like weird string trick, like that takes some tech to do, but it's not like, I'm not going to have to spend as much time on that as it is doing 4 tap. It's more just like thinking of the idea in the first place is the hard bit.
Yeah.
And then just like figuring out how to make that trick you've never seen before that's in your head like come into reality. But then being like, oh, but I want to sandwich that between like, I want to harden it up a little bit, and like the juxtaposition, it's like a haiku kind of.
It's the best.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, that was like a weird, like super techie way to pressure from big cup to small cup, and then 10 tap ender. I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
That gets me going.
That gets me going too.
I get super stoked on that.
Yeah. The last few tricks that I filmed, it was that. It was
nice.
It was like doing the standard gym trick and then throwing something else in because I want the viewer to not expect it, you know. And
that's also interesting. The expectation, like a lot of there's some lines, like there's so much trick structure in Kendama where sometimes you'll see the first 3 tricks of a line and you're like, oh, I know what the rest of it is. Or you'll see someone like Isaac Levinson play. Or I'm not thinking it's a different new laced guy.
Wonk Life. There is
his name is on the tip of my tongue. He does like he's super like Kitano Leo, right? Leo.
Yep.
He's like never let him know your next move. And
the
best. And he'll do things that are like conceptually he's running with a theme, but it's in a way where every next step is unexpected. And it's like it's another way to express yourself in Kendama.
Yeah, bro. But I think that the 4 tap trick that you did, the 4 tap completes it because you probably wouldn't even want to just do that string to start, you know?
No.
It would almost be maybe too easy for you, but you want to be able to express yourself in that trick without the 4 tap and then expectation and whether it's showing to people that you have this down, that you can do this and then throwing them off, or if it's just a personal thing too.
Like call it showing off, call it self-expression, call it whatever you want. You're like, I have ideas of what's cool in Kendama, and I want to make them reality for myself and for the people who watch these tricks. And it's just like how that comes out of you. You know? It's like for some people, like maybe even on some days, I would be like, you know what? No, I want to try to just do like 4-4-4. Or I'm just going to do that like string thing 3 times in a row and do some ender or whatever. But no, it's like that was the one that came out of me in that grind in that moment. That I was thinking of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's some do that. Like you got to be kind of like you gotta just like accept that like the tricks you think of are you thinking of tricks. It sounds like kind of reductive and simple, but that's what it is.
So who do you think, in terms of your personal interests and what you like, what players were always big inspirations for you?
Oh, dude, I got my Mount Rushmore for you. I got the big 4. I got the big 4, and you at home should all do this. It's a fun exercise.
Yeah.
Bonds.
Okay.
That's big dog right there. That's.
And why?
Yeah.
Why Bonds?
Bonds. The way Bonds plays Kendama, like some of his early edits, I think the best way to describe it is like sometimes he'll do some like flair bartending type thing where he's just playing with like 2 objects. And in the course of like 30 seconds, he'll do a line that gives you a real sense of like all the things you can do with that object. And a lot of early Bonds edits are just him doing that with Kendama. Where these lines are not like super constrained within one group, but they have like an around line, they have an ender, and they pull together all these elements from all around Kendama into one trick. And you kind of see it and you're like, oh, that's like, that trick is almost a demo of what Kendama can be in a sense. And that creativity, just the way he constructed lines, it was one of the first times I started being like, oh, there's like real structure to this. Like you can really kind of compose tricks. Like these really long, convoluted around, like throw Ken to Tama grip stall things. And then just overall his like, the way that dude like moves around the Dama to manipulate the Kendama. Like as someone who uses a lot of like macro body movements to like that's a big inspiration I can look to be like what are all the ways you can do that with your body. And everyone's kind of got that differently. Like my kind of way of squatting down into tricks comes from like, I don't know, like downhill skateboarding. Where I'm super used to being squatted low with one leg like tucked over or something like that.
Yeah.
And Bonz's comes from all the stuff he's done in life.
Yeah.
But still, like, it's inspiring to me to watch. Yeah. Just like the way it's kind of reminds me of Soma, where it's like you can play with gravity and speed and height.
Speed, dude. Yeah, big. Fast, slow. Yeah.
Yeah, fast, slow, fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. And then got Bonds.
Yeah.
For those reasons, Ben Harold.
Okay.
For overall, just like the ability to think of a trick in your head that you've never seen before and chart the course from
not hit it once, but continue the progression of it.
Yeah, or like
before anyone's seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you think of it, you do it, and then you continue going down that rabbit hole of like how many ways can you express this one movement? How many other things can you combine it with? How many other things can you do with it? And just like researching.
And I can't think of any other players. If you look at the action of learning a brand new trick, and then if you posted that at that moment, it would be a wrecking ball on Instagram. At least 80 comments, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And then you fucking hold on to that in your stomach, you know? You hold on to that. And then you wait like 2 years and you just keep developing it. And then you get, that's kind of Fringe Case in essence, you know?
Fringe Case is crazy. I like that idea of just like going deep into the lab for a few years and coming out of it with something that like
perseverance
no ever.
Dude, I can't think of any other player that would be like that. You know, like
no,
like that went that far with it. That like he took it to the next step, didn't pose. Took it to the next step, didn't pose. Took it to the next step, didn't. You know, and just held on to it, dude.
Yeah,
held on.
True. Yeah. Like he wasn't like. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He wasn't like I'm gonna do like the first like thought of a late goon, and then post. He was like not like now that I have this idea, I can make something really special for the Dama community if I like. Just go down this rabbit hole, and instead of showing people like every step of the way, just dropping it all on them at once.
Yeah. And you don't get any extra motivation from the hype of the post.
True.
Extra validation.
I guess there's a trade-off there where on one hand, like I do not support like gatekeeping your tricks. Like we should all be collegial and share.
So? Yeah, okay.
But it's also important because Kendama is about creating suspense and surprising people and the viewership of all of it, and so like. You know, maybe sometimes you don't like spoil what you got cooking, and you
you make that's how that's how.
But it's like it's got to be like with an intention. Yeah, be like I'm gonna not post this because I want this super hard version of this later that I want to be in my like pro model editor or something like that.
It's a little selfish or something. Yeah,
it is a little. It's a little selfish, but you're like there's another side of it where you're like I'm doing this for other people. Yeah, like they'll get even more stoked if they don't see the road up to this. But I think. I do also think like showing the road is really important. So I don't know exactly if I have like a hard stance on one.
Yeah, I mean, with that edit by doing that, he definitely made a name for himself, and I guess at the end of the day, it's you. I feel like you have free will and you can do whatever you want.
Totally.
You know? Totally.
Anyway, Ben Harold, Bonds. We got Chris June.
Okay.
Chris June had this grip contest edit.
Yeah.
And for some reason, just like the way he like used his knees, the selection of tricks, the line construction, it was just like really, really appealing to me. He would do these long lines with these weird little like swap transition things and like knit all this stuff together. Like they're like really hard, long lines, but they're all cool elements and they're done with a lot of steez. I like that. Yeah. So, shout out Chris June.
Yeah.
Last one.
The steez factor for June.
Steez factor for June is huge, and I also really like he's a trick innovator too.
Yeah. For sure.
He's got a lot of good ones that have inspired me, and I'm very grateful that I've seen some tricks that he's done, so I can do them myself. They're very enjoyable. Yeah, just sick.
Yeah.
And I like his edits.
Yeah.
And then last is Ben Mastic.
Yeah.
Someone who really straddles that gap between the Gallagher side and the Soma side, as you were saying. Like, he kind of I mean, he innovated a lot of that that Danish string flow, like way back in the day. That is kind of associated with those early Chrome videos and all
exactly
that.
Right. Yeah.
But he can also like around trip J stick every time.
Yeah, every time. Yeah.
So he's got, and I like them to be connected. Like I like some like trip throw playing, and then you pop out and do some really artful string flow, and then you end it with trip throw playing or something like that. It's like, that's good. That's that composition that kind of pulls together different elements and juxtaposes them in a way that's really appealing.
Yeah. I can see with those 4 faces engraved into the wall. I can see you
looking up at
planning a trip and looking up on them and then going home inspired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flying home
100%.
North Dakota or something.
Wherever it is.
The only reason anyone who goes to North Dakota is which is probably the sickest state that like everyone living in North Dakota is just like gatekeeping, really don't hear about. Like I always imagine like how are there 2 Dakotas? Like I never hear of one.
True.
How often do you hear of one Dakota?
What's going on in Bismarck or Pierre?
Pierre Bismarck, dude. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's really cool.
If you play Kendama out there, shout out to you.
Shout out
to you.
Yeah. Well, man. Yeah, I can imagine with those 4 faces up there that, I can see the way that you play and the interest that you have in certain tricks that those 4 make a lot of sense.
But I also have some like sleepers too.
Okay.
Like
engraved in the side that were like a test, like half.
Yeah. Like I take a lot of my tricks from Wyatt Bray.
Okay.
I watched a lot of early COTK edits. Just that whole genre of all the different ways that you can have it in an airplane and do a flip swap, and you got a tap in there and spin that tama and spike it, and you do a late Sarah whirl. Like that whole genre gets me so stoked. Just like the aggressive down spikes on a perfectly spun tama. Sick.
No one's added aggression and like
and the kind of doing turners too, like really like aggressive clean and then like expanding on tech in that area.
Wyatt's like the master of that.
Yeah.
They made Kendama really cool in that regard of like it would be a dunk in basketball. It wouldn't be like a Steph Curry 3-point shot. It would be just like dunking.
It would be a dunk.
Like the aggressive, the intensity that people didn't probably think Kendama had, because you're just back in the day you just bake up spiking it, and then it's like he's really just like putting his feelings into
that's expression too, and that's like that Kendama I think is a perfect window into everyone's soul.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like that. It's sick. Like knowing Bray in real life, seeing how he plays, like the passion, the quickness, the fire. Like dude. Nah, it's like that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Fire.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Intensity.
Yeah, intensity. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Who did we see that was intense this weekend? Because Yasu isn't super intense, I mean,
he wasn't super intense. Cress
is intense, yeah.
But he's not.
Josh Kim's intense.
Yeah. That's a great example right there. That's a really good example.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I like that.
I'm trying to think. Maybe it'll come.
Yeah. Dude, well, there was. When I mentioned doing an interview with you, you mentioned that there are a lot of things that I think you've been thinking about that you kind of finally solidified.
Yeah.
Of like, your opinion now, you know where you stand.
Oh, it's time for those?
Yeah, I think it is.
All right.
Whatever comes to your mind first. Yeah.
I have been thinking about trick structure for a really long time.
Okay, yeah.
And I think there's this shotgun interview of Albert. I actually learned some lore from Jake Weens last night that this came from a conversation that they had before this interview. But Albert said, he was asked, Albert, what's your favorite trick? And he said, well, tricks are like words, and we want to make sentences, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I watched that, and I just got like full body chills. I almost threw my phone, dude. That got me so geeked.
You can't have too many adjectives, you can't have too many verbs, you need every part of a word.
Prosaically elegant.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Totally. And the way he does it is so cool. But there was a while when I think I was like a junior in college, and I was studying this field of math called group theory. Mm-hmm. Group theory is like you have a set of objects. It could be like numbers, and then you have like an operation between them. It could be addition, it could be whatever. It could be like swap these two things. And it's like a really general way of thinking about sets of objects and like the way they relate.
Yeah, okay.
I think like in Kendama, you have a group of your 3 cups, like big, small, base, and doing around the world is just like it's like a cyclic permutation. So walk through your group with a chosen start point and a chosen direction and ordering. And I was like, okay, interesting. That's a structure. There seems to be like some structures of things. 1, 2, 3s, arounds, buildings, mirrors, sandwiches, so on and so forth. And there seem to be a lot of tricks that can be mapped onto those structures. Yeah. I was like, okay, well then surely there must be a way to write out a notation system for Kendama. Yeah. Or like instead of, sometimes you go to like KWC level 12 and like one of the hard tricks is like a paragraph. But sometimes you'll see that and then you'll see it in Japanese, it's like super short. And you're like, that's like the information density on that written language is way higher. And so like how can I make a super information dense language for Kendama where I don't have to write down your dare with the 4 taps? Yeah. Like writing that down is crazy. Or like expressing that, you more have to express it structurally. You have to be like, it's 4 tap 4 times in a row, swap throw, but there's a big tap and it starts in the first location and then it moves in second, third.
You're saying like in terms of comprehension of reading the words down, and then if I would probably read that and be like, I don't get it, and then you see the first part of that, the big, the do, and then you see the second do part. Big. I'm like, I got it. Yeah. At the rest.
Yeah. 100%. But like, how is there an efficient way to write that? And so the way I tried to do it at first was make a symbolic language for all the stationary positions in Kendama. Yeah. That was based off of like the first thing is like your chosen grip, like you have Ken grip, Tama grip, like stomp plane grip.
There's no way that you can escape that. Yeah, you're gonna be
like I don't know, teacup grip, fancy grip, candle grip,
string grip.
Yeah,
hanging.
Yeah, there's like all sorts of them. And then you have that, and then you have the thing that you get to. It could be the same thing, and then you have like a dynamic movement between them. Yeah. And I started trying to write tricks out this way. Yeah. And I would write out like around bird, or I'd write out like around you throw plane with like a 1, 2, 3 J. And I just noticed all these similarities, and I could take it and I could think about it in like as like a box of numbers, like a 3x3 grid of numbers, a matrix or something. Or I'd be like, okay, well this structure makes sense, but then if I just change both the Ken grip things here to like down spike grip, then it's like, oh, that's like, what does that trick now mean? And then like, oh, can I think about that and do it? Yeah. And it was this exercise where oh, my poor voice. It was this exercise where it opened me up to all this like the structural possibilities in Kendama, where like every time I think about a trick now, I'm not thinking about the trick, I'm thinking about like the structure of the trick and then the aspects of the start and end points. Yeah. And so like instead of being like, oh, cool trick, I'm like, oh, that's a cool like structure. Yeah. And I'm like, what if you sub in these things, these things. Yeah, and I've tried to make a few like trick generators on like Excel and Python and stuff like that with this concept, where it's like you write your trick out in this way and then you like permute it. You like change one, or you whatever the word is. Not permute. You change one aspect. Okay. You perturb it. Yeah. Okay. and you see what that then spits out. And you're like, okay, well this trick is still like it looks the same when you write it out, but these 2 letters are like now different. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and anyway, like it's gotten me to this point where I sometimes like don't understand when people are like, I can't think of a trick to do. Yeah. But I think it's...
You understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, if you really grasp Kendama, it's like, how can you come from that?
Yeah, it's like there's... You know how there's like more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than there are like atoms in the observable universe? It's like, I don't just shuffle them. Like, and then just like...
There's more cards.
Just like just throw some darts at the board. Just think of like 3 concepts and put them together and then be like, wait, there's actually like 2 million ways I can put these 2 concepts together. Yeah. And then run with that. So I have an idea that...
At literally 2 million too.
Literally...
If you look at the possibilities,
trying to do like an orders of magnitude, like how big is it calculation, it blows up so fast. And it depends on what rules too, because like you could do like the proof that there's like infinite decimal numbers between 0 and 1, where you do like the diagonal thing. Yeah. You can do that with Kendama, where it's like, say you think of a trick and that trick is unique and never done before, and you can just add one juggle to it.
Yeah.
You can add bird to it. You can the second you have a new trick, and it can be combined with every other trick that's ever been done. Yeah. So it's like the scale of infinity to it is pretty crazy. And yeah, I have this idea that I would like to bring into existence this year, where I've always wanted to make trick tutorials, but there's so many trick tutorials out there, and like I love sending trick tutorials to my friends. If any of you have questions about some like weird Kendamonomics trick that I've done or something like that, like just hit me up and I'll like set my phone up against my water bottle and like chat to it for a bit. But I would like to make trick tutorials on trick structure instead of on the tricks themselves, because then people can go out and learn all their elements through the trick tutorials that are on all these pages, all these companies' YouTubes, and then think about how to compose them into lines of their own. And I want to get people to start thinking about Kendama a little bit more that way, a little bit more like
I'm trying to like associate it with something else that people would know, but I kind of come back to language, and it would be like, instead of you adding a word to the sentence, it's like you would teach them a different language or something. You know, you teach them Spanish instead of English, you know.
True. Yeah, or like...
Because then they think they can express themselves in a completely different way. And that, starting there, it's like, oh, yeah, I see the possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Or like, if you have a sentence structure where you're like... it works with like silly little bits that we do at Kendama events, like... like we up, and then like somethingly, like oh, we up astronomically, we up mathematically right now, like we up we up conversationally, and it's like at the Kendama tricks are the same thing. It's like we up blankly, like adverb, and then like
so we up
throw
like
your
Sarahly, or we're
we up penguinally,
like instead
just
of,
like you have your structure, and then you have your concept thing, and you throw your thing in there based on the situation. You see what comes out, and then you
start. You're not starting with a subject. You're starting with like a verb, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna mean something different. You know, like you don't start with what normally what people do is like, oh, what do I do after this tab? Like, what trick do I do? But you're saying start with a penguin Tama grip.
Start with like two elements.
That's the first thing that you
start with two elements, and then just start like siphoning structures.
Yeah.
Like I did this for a while. I had a way that I would map out my 3 trick fixes.
Yeah.
Where my 3 trick fixes, they were based around a primary concept.
Yeah.
And then you have the primary concept and 3 secondary concepts.
Yeah. So give me an example.
So like Insta House as the primary concept, say.
Okay.
Or like let's do like Goon.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna do a Goon based 3 trick fix.
Yeah.
No, let's do Trip Ken 3 trick fix. I'll say, okay, like, it's going to be Trip Ken, something, Trip Ken, something, Trip Ken, something.
Yeah.
The way I mapped it out was, the first one was the primary concept I did 1 week ago. The second one was the primary concept I did 2 weeks ago. And the third one was the primary concept I did 3 weeks ago. So if I did, like, 3 weeks ago, I did a sesh of... like 3 taps.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna be like, okay, so this trick's gonna involve Trip Ken, and it's gonna involve 3 tap.
Okay.
And you can do classic 3-3-3. You could do like 3 tap jug 3 late spike. You could do 3 up jug 3 tap jug 3 late. You could do that you do a million things. You 3 tap straight swap Trip Ken spike. That'd be hard. I'm gonna try to do that today.
Yeah.
Like you just start combining them together. It's kind of like
but then also one of those...
It's like bananagrams or something. Like
but one of them can be a butterfly. So Trip Ken, and then how do I get butterfly?
Oh, yeah, so that would be like, the way I would do that was I'd just do like a single, like you know how you can do butterfly swap?
Yeah.
Just like, whoop, and then get it, and then the Tama comes up, Trip Ken, fast ping.
And I think the sentiment that you're getting to is that you randomize that specific trick, whether it's the butterfly or the... Or the example that you just used.
It helps me to throw like a constraint on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like just like be like, all right, I'm constrained to like combining these 2 concepts.
Yeah.
But that's not much of a constraint.
Yeah.
Like within that, you can do a million tricks just with those 2 things. Like, you can make a 3 trick fix based off of one of them.
Yeah.
Like what are like 3 tricks combining butterfly and Trip Ken?
Yeah.
Like easy. You know?
Easy.
Yeah, be sick.
You do the trick at the beginning or trick at the end, or you...
Yeah.
Yeah. you trip can juggle to butterfly, so in air you try to grab a butterfly.
Oh yeah, that'd be crazy.
Trip can, and then you Tom comes up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could do like Zachy and Brent. You know, trip can up, and then you could do like the kind of like butterfly loop in the middle, and you could do it on the goon axis. You could do it on the spacewalk axis. You could do it as like a little string flow thing that goes into something else. And there's probably ways to juggle into string flow that have not yet been explored. There's a lot of them. Like, I love doing late goon into like swirl. Like I know Ben Mastic does that one a lot, and it's like such a fun little combination where you do some trick that's like so technically difficult into like literally the dumbest easy exit ever, and then you're like, I just did the coolest thing ever, and it looked easy.
It's new to you, new to a lot of people. So I think with this thought that you're going down is just like different ways to you can approach kendama. Yeah, this is a unique way of approaching kendama. Of let me take this one, and if you combine it, you're gonna get something new that maybe people haven't seen, but you haven't done before.
Totally, I think the most important thing is that like I haven't done it before, and like over all these years of playing, sometimes I like forget. I like have this. I sometimes have this like this inner worry where I'm like, oh dude, I'm about to post a trick that I posted like 2 years ago, but like I don't think I've ever done that.
No.
I hope.
Against the law of Instagram.
Forbidden, jail time, instantly, 100 years,
dungeon. Yeah.
Actually, I do walk back on that sometimes because like I'll have like I'll post some Instagram clip and it'll just like bomb and get like 60 likes and then I'm like, oh, that trick was sick and I could do it fast. Then I'm like filming with someone for some edit somewhere. I'm like, oh, bring that one back, dude. Like
no, for edits too. When I'm digging deep, I often do the same thing.
Because a lot of editing is like it's hitting the trick in the spot. You don't have like infinite time always. You gotta. Trick selection's crazy because you're trying to figure out what cup of water you want to drink from the whole ocean. For sure. Even a bigger scale than that. You can't just throw a dart at the board and be like, oh, I think I'm gonna. You have to have some kind of idea. Otherwise, you're gonna just like kill your camera battery, SD card or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess that gets into a whole other thing about filming.
Yeah, wanna hit that?
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I filmed my first Around USA.
You filmed it?
I filmed it.
Yeah.
And the way I think I say this in this like Just a Toy documentary thing that's on the Kendama Depot page, but the way I would get myself to like lock in and do a trick as like a mindfulness exercise was to set up the camera. And like when I set up the camera and press record, it was like instead of just seshing and like trying like because I'm so content just playing and like missing and just ideating, like trying to turn on the faucet and think of trick concepts and like not ever hit anything, and I just like have a notes app full of gibberish and a smile on my face.
Yeah.
But like to commit to get in that grind space where you're like, I'm at 45 minutes of this trick right now, it really helps for me to have the camera going. It's focusing, it directs the energy, and I almost treated it like birding or something, where you're like, you want to go out and like capture it. And the thing that's cool about filming is like, without filming, we could all do these kendama tricks, but then to get that feeling of doing this thing that you grinded for again, you'd have to grind for it again. But what filming does is it removes it from its temporality. It's not a fleeting moment. It's like you captured it.
It's forever.
Like a 2D representation of this moment will exist on my SD card forever. And then you can go back and watch. Like I know we all probably like to watch our Instagram clips after we post them a bunch of times. That's your reward. That's like you grinded for these 4 tricks, and the moment where you hit all of them was really, really good. And now you just get to like absolutely just get that direct to the brain like 4 times in a row. Watching it back is like the ultimate dopamine rush. But it's also like it's enabled us to share all these tricks, and sometimes that's kind of just like what I think I'm doing is I'm venturing out into the great space of all kendama tricks that exist, and I'm trying to like pluck a particularly appealing fruit from the kendama tree and then bring it back to my little kendama village and show everyone like, this is my cool fruit that I found.
The very first point that you made was really interesting, and I like feel that same thing where it's never fun for me when I turn the camera and then I start fresh with the equation. okay, let's do that trip Ken to the butterfly.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No, I agree.
Because you're still in that experimental phase.
Yeah.
Exploration phase.
Phase.
But the camera is useful when you have it down.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you want to do, then you hit record.
Yeah, I don't really like. Sometimes I guess I have the camera up and I'm like, I'll switch up my grind a few times, but I'm not just kind of like. I don't set the camera up just to see like, oh well, maybe if something happens, I'll get it. Like I film with
try to do that
a little more intention than that. I mean, you get really cool clips that way. Like we just had a clip where like I hit a yank and Brent hit like a gooch spike that just did numbers on the reels, and we're like, oh, okay, we just like set that up and
let's do whatever.
Yeah. No, I like to, and sometimes I'll like having. Like this happened, I guess, when I was filming Cold Hands 2 a few times. Like I would have the camera up, I'd be trying one thing.
Yeah.
The idea for another trick would just hit my brain, and I'd just first tee it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
Like got it. But it's not like I'm just like freestyling in front of the camera, and then if like I get a good 45, then that's what I'm like. I don't do that as much yet. I think that's a really cool way to play.
Yeah.
But that's true, because filming freestyles is super different from filming like a trick that you've thought of and want to do.
Yeah. I kind of can see how it's like. It would almost be like going to a theater to see a movie, but then the actors are going into character and out of character instead of going to see the movie that they are ready for. Like as an actor, as an actor, if you're preparing, you're going to go on film and you're going to capture this emotion. You don't want anybody to see that.
You don't want people to see the process behind. You don't want like.
You
don't want to have them talking on stage like how we're going to really grab the heartstrings of the audience.
Yeah.
Like we want you to already know.
Yeah.
And then grab the heartstrings.
Yeah.
It's like Kendama's.
I really like thinking about play and practice in one group, and then performance and execution in the other.
Oh, cool.
I really think that those are opposite sides of the spectrum in some regard.
I kind of think of it as like a triangle.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think play and practice are like. The play practice split is what filming does for me.
Yeah.
Like when I turn on the camera, it's like practice and grinding are being lumped together here.
Yeah.
But I'm like I'm no longer ideating. I'm no longer like thinking of the tricks. I'm like trying to do that thing where I get from the idea to the final product.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, like throwing different mental cues at it, trying to like tweak little different bits to make it feel better, et cetera, et cetera. And like that, just the variation and in just getting to one trick is like enough for me in that moment. But when the camera's off, I'm just what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that.
Yeah, I guess practice can probably be a word that is in both, but like at least play and performance.
Like, grinding, playing, and performing.
Yeah, like if you're going for a skating trick and maybe you know how to click flip really well, but you just want to make it look a certain way, or you just want to get down the repetition. You don't want to perform for anybody there, because then your brain's going to be like, what do I know already? How do I flick this? What's going to work? Versus
you want to land it.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you want to learn how to land
I want
it
to miss.
In a new way. Yeah, I want to like miss in the course of getting this now.
Well, I guess you want to try to flick this way, and I'm going to miss. Yeah. And
you're like okay with missing.
I find that a lot of players, and this is something that I kind of learned recently, but like, you can really benefit your progression by playing more.
Oh yeah.
Like, and changing your form, which is what I'm really obsessed about.
Oh, totally.
Watching Ryoga and stuff like, and this is what I do in the Copenhagen Kendama Intensive is, I want 10 minutes of lighthouse flips. There's no cameras, but there's also no expectation of juggling the spike or airplane spike.
That's cool.
It's just instas, and you miss, you just do instas again, and that makes you be like, what does my hand do? And I did this at the Houston Kendama Intensive, where we would do 10 minutes of juggles, so you're just juggling the entire time, you're not spiking, and then I'd be like, all right, relax your wrist, do that for a minute, and then focus on the string for a minute, and then focus on this, focus on that, and then you're kind of like, your pathways for juggling were always so set, but by playing more, you are finding new routes, like the tree route to go down. Well, then when you want to perform, it's maybe that tree route's gonna replace the route that you had.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to, for me, like I want to play like Yasu, I want to play like Ryoga. I want to feel what they're feeling, and to do that, I'm not going to be able to just. Okay, I'm just going to get a lot better at 8 taps, like the way that I do it. I want to mess up enough 8 taps because I want to look like them and try to see what they're feeling. And the only way to do that is to not have any expectation of landing it for a long time. For this sesh, for our expectation of landing it.
You got to be like, well, I want to play this way.
Yeah.
Clearly, I don't play like that right now, even though we do a lot of the same tricks. I need to kind of like stir myself up a little bit, maybe unlearn some bad habits, relearn some new ones, and then that'll get me there. Just staying unfixed. Yeah, I think that really plastic and Kendama is really important. And I guess the way I really like that idea. By the way, I think I do that myself when I'm filming.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'll spend the other day I spent like 20 minutes trying to do like 4 tap jug 4 late jug 4 tap.
Yeah.
And I at the end of that I didn't get it, but I got way better at all the constituent parts. Yeah. And now it feels like it's there. I'm kind of saving it for 28, but yeah.
But I would almost think that with I guess you can just take your mind out of the camera, and just be like, okay, I know I'm recording, but I'm not recording, whatever. But
Like I'm just like, I'm so fine with missing because I know it's like, it's productive. Like it's getting me to the destination. Like I can't be like 2 hours from where I'm going on the highway and be like, I'm not there yet. It's like, no, dude, just keep driving. Yeah.
And just okay, I can get the 4 down. Now let's speed up the flips. Let's slow down the flips. Let's do the Tama higher.
You're like, man, what am I doing? Like, I'm not like this. Like the string's always weird in the 4 late. Like, how can I what am I doing in the 4 tap and the jug after? Like, how high am I throwing my Tama? Am I getting string Kens or am I getting string tautness and separation? Like, how's it coming together?
If I told you like hit this now, you're not going to be doing any of that free exploring. You're going to be doing, what do I know? How do I know to do this
just
right now?
Forcing it with what I have now. As opposed to just kind of like taking a softer approach to it where I'm like, I'm going to work towards this trick and play with how I play Kendama so that it gets me there. And then if I learn that, then that will translate to many other tricks as well. Like, grinding that has made me, like, grinding that literally was what allowed me to do the throw 4 tap at the end of that, like, tension lighthouse trick.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Without that, I wouldn't be there. And and that's a really, like, I mean, that's a trick I've never seen before, never done before. And then the 4-4-4, it's like, someone did that recently. Naru did that recently. Yeah.
What was it? The 4 jug late 4 jug 4?
Yeah, something. Someone very young did that recently, and I was like,
damn it,
sick, dude. Yeah. But not even. I can't like get salty. I think it's like it's a bit in the Kendama world to get salty about that. Like, oh man, he's so good and so young. I might as well quit.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Stupid.
Bruh.
I feel it. I understand where they're coming from.
I understand where they're coming from for sure. But because it's like, it's demoralizing to see other people get what you want so easily sometimes, but you can't compare.
No.
Deep
of joy,
Deep of joy. Yeah. Deep of joy. Just a meme that's like, oh, my friend got a tattoo that said comparison to the Thief of Joy, and I want to get one, but just have it be a little bigger. It's so good.
I'm going to try this font. Like, he did a serif. I'm going to do, like, Roboto, Like,
Now let's look at this guy's card. Let's see Paul Allen's card.
That's so good, dude. All right, well, you hit me with the, I guess, the way of creating a trick. Like, how you can kind of do a different aspect of thinking about different tricks.
Yeah.
Hit me with another.
Another way of thinking about...
No, hit me with a brand new thing that you've solidified recently that it could be fucking team, it could be progression, it could be anything, if you have one.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's...
Maybe something that you kind of wanted to bring up or that you've been thinking about a lot.
So, I got an interesting conversation the other day about like, women's comps.
Yeah.
And girls division, women's comps, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about the Fair Games event in April that Danielle's hosting.
Yeah.
And someone said, like, why do we have girls events? Like, why can't we all just, like, play together?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, that is the end goal, of course. But we were standing up near the like door to the cafe, looking over a lot of battle. But it's like, and we were like, if you look at the crowd, the guys have a pretty big head start. Pretty big head start. And the thing about equity is you want to adjust for head starts so that everyone can get to that desired final spot. Yeah. But for a while, that kind of got me tripped up because I was like, oh, is it like insulting to have like women's division, girls only division? Is it like patronizing?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not. It's necessary to give them space to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I just want to get that one in the air because I think some people have mixed feelings.
People definitely do. Yeah.
About that. What else? I'm going to rapid fire them.
No, I want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of empathizing. You know, you got to start with, like, imagine you're a girl at a Diamond event, and
like, who are my role models?
Yeah.
It's like, because the classic, like, if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
Like last year, seeing Nanoka win Open,
no,
like in a full, it's like that was like the closest I've gotten to that final, feeling that final vision of like, we're all just like on equal footing. Yeah. There's nothing about like being biologically male or a man, a gendered man that like makes you better at Kendama. Like clearly, no.
Nanoka's
like
disgusting.
Nanoka, Chinyan, Rin, like they're like, oh my god, they are like the proof that we didn't have 13 years ago. That was true. And I think now we're getting a lot more, sex and gender equalization in the scene, and that's sick because I think ideally Kendama is just a reflection of humanity, and selfishly too, like I want more types of people to enter Kendama because like. Just in the way that Kendama is like a window to the soul. There's like we pretty much just have like we're seeing like like 70% like white straight dude Kendama. And it's like what like I want to see people from completely other life experiences to play Kendama for as much time and have it be a window to their soul. And because I just selfishly like because I want to see everything that's possible with Kendama from everyone out there, and I think it has something to offer everyone, and then in return everyone has something to offer the community if they invest in Kendama. And so getting more life perspectives, types of people, I think will only keep the breadth of the game increasing in terms of tricks, ways to play, ways to think about playing, all of it. It's just more depth every area.
For sure. I tried to really test myself and think about these things just because of my upbringing, which is really conservative Ohio red, and not to say that what we're talking about is political necessarily, but it's just there's a way of thinking
politicized occasionally, but
there's a way of thinking that's conservative. There's a way of thinking that's the
It's liberal, totally. Like just like ideologically, those are And I
think this. I kind of look
sick actually.
I kind of like looking at it like masculinity and femininity.
Interesting. Like gender roles.
But I feel like there's definitely a spectrum of like you can I don't know if this is probably socialized.
Like what's the most mass Kendama trick that you can think of? What's the most femme Kendama trick that you can possibly think of?
And then
are there gender roles in Kendama tricks?
Add that to the equation.
Right, I know, exactly.
Do this trick but femme, I think looking at that and knowing that there are possibilities that if we're not giving women or feminine people a space for it, that we're missing out on potential tricks.
Right? And I want to see it all. You want to see it all too.
And I can't really map on a certain trick that would be more feminine. I guess you can...
stalls versus But everyone's like...
and I don't want to say that, like, all girls are going to be...
like, better at stalls and guys are good at taps, because that's, like, just not true, right? Like, I'm kind of, like...
It's a tricky conversation, but I think that...
There are plenty of women in the world who have higher tap maxes than I.
Hina just hit 18.
I mean, mine's like 8, so...
But, I think that by having, like, a space,
18,
like...
18,
crazy, bro. And the last 6 was just like at her chest, like
awesome.
But I think making a space for that, having this Fair Games event, you can we can kind of like open that up, and it's just going to I don't want to just say it. Oh, it's going to expand tricks for me. It's kind of selfish.
I know, that's like literally why I said like this is my like, cause I don't know, like I can get on my high horse and talk about equity all I want, but it's like, but my stake in it truly is like comes from the love of Kendama and just like wanting to see more Kendama. And I think that's like that's fine. Wholesome. And we should all be so selfish as to want to have more Kendama be more inclusive.
That's an objective thing, right?
Yeah, totally. It's just a reframe of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man. I think a lot of people would agree with it, but because it's politicized, people are just going to quickly like, oh, this equals this, and that's bad. It's like, no, we're not going there. Like, we're just
like the oversimplification. I think is the like wanting to be at the end point and not like realizing like that we need to do things to get to that end point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because there is the value of being all inclusive and like, oh, you know, whatever, but you're saying that there could be steps to get there. It's like the kind of the means.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
really celebrate.
We want to make sure that these people who are coming into the community who haven't like been here in a large enough presence are able to like have their space carved out and have their room to like express themselves in their own way, just as like we as, you know, white boys have had this carved out for us for years.
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of like sports, like especially skateboarding, it just seems pretty toxic in that regard. And there's not a lot of these.
I guess like free skiing and stuff. Like you start to see like all these sports started like pretty like male dominated and
Kendama might be one of
it's progressive. It's like actually turning the tide the fastest I've seen in like anything, and it's crazy too. It's smaller. Cool. It's smaller too, so it's like you can see it all in real time.
It's really cool. Yeah, like it's good for Danny for doing that.
Yeah. Shout out Danielle. Go to Fair Games.
Fair Games. Yeah. Richmond,
Virginia. April. Here it's nice there that time of year.
Yeah. I've been to Richmond a few times. It's a really cool city. Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, I'm trying to go down there.
All right. You have another.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Which one? So we got trick structure. Thinking about combining various types of tricks. We have filming as an exercise to kind of solidify where you're going and what you're doing. I guess I could just talk more about like there being a place for everyone in Kendama.
Yeah.
I think that I want to talk about what G Standards has added to the community. And talking about my relationship with competition.
Yeah.
So when I came to Kendama, at that point in my life, I was really, really into running. Or like into running, I guess. I was like competing at a pretty high level in high school in like the mile. Like I was going to nationals.
How fast was your mile?
4:20.
Oh, jeez.
She was top 50 indoor.
Wow.
High school.
That's
it's like my crowning achievement to run two 10 800s back to back, which is kind of unthinkable to be now. But the competitive anxiety of it, like knowing that I was just going to spend like a week just waiting till that one day on Saturday, meet day, when I would just like completely just empty my tank, like below empty, and just being dead, just push. And like something like the stakes of it also, like all of that just boiled me mentally, and I was just like riddled with like competition anxiety.
In a negative way.
In a negative way, in a way that was like really maladaptive. Like it was not doing good things for me. And I liked running, and like when the gun would go off and I'd be in lap 1 or 2, I'd be like, oh, of course, well, this is why I spent all my time doing this. And like I loved training runs. I obsessed over form, like trying to tweak my running form to be more like, you know, like Ethiopian marathoners and like British milers and like Gavin Rupp or whatever his name is. That stuff I was obsessed with, but the competition was brutal for me. And so when I came into Kendama and I learned that there were these competitions and stuff, I was like, oh, well, but this is sick, because like you don't really have to like compete to enjoy the breadth of Kendama. And so I had when I got into Kendama and started, or I guess when I started competing like 6 or 7 years after getting into Kendama, I was like, oh, this is great, because like, you know, I guess I do get some comp nerves, some comp shakes, but I don't have these like stakes on me, these in the same way that I did with running. And it was really like calming and nice to be able to like practice this thing and have the end goal not just be like showcasing it on a stage or like winning big or something like that. And somehow through that, being able to step down from that level of like being jacked up on like competition performance anxiety, I was able to re-enter to that world. Like I would like the first few years I went to events from like 2018 to maybe 2021, 2022, when I was like a Chrome ambassador.
Yeah.
I would always compete in, you know, like pro open and freestyle.
Yeah.
I was always kind of in like the bottom third of that. And it removed all these expectations. I was just kind of going up there to have fun, see how the stage felt, like deal with the comp nerves. Like I love doing tricks. Like might as well just like try to do these tricks on stage. And that really like chilled me out on the whole idea of competing.
Yeah.
And then MJR started doing these add-on mini competitions near like Massachusetts and Connecticut and in the quarries, and I started winning them, and I won like a lot of them. And I was and that like we had NEKC also, like Northeast Kendama Classic, and oh my god, yeah, dude, I was like, sitting down cushion house. I like, dude, lives.
No more sitting down, Major. No more sitting down.
Nightmares. Literal nightmares. Yeah. But that was like, but that was sick because I was like, I got up to, you know, like I got up to that, like, is it going to be first or second? And like, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like, the nerves weren't like too crazy. I was like, oh, this is just like intense and I'm in it, I'm here. And then as the comfort with being on stage and being in that spotlight increased, and like having Brent Duffy come up and kind of like bouncing ideas off each other on how to freestyle better and working that in as a practice, like I have completely restored my relationship with competition from being like a huge head case to now just being like I used to like have a lot of anxiety like presenting and stuff in class, and now I'm like, oh, this is so much easier than Kendama freestyling, dude. It's like I just have to talk to you.
Oh, dude, what a life lesson that Kendamas tell everybody with going to a job interview to presenting. I'm just like
you could
go
to public speaking class, or you could play Kendama and compete.
I had a bird on stage. I can say these words.
Exactly, dude.
Biggest life lesson.
100%. And I think it's really cool that Kendama can provide that. And I think that in the way that I want everyone who comes to Kendama to have something, like somewhere to go in the community that helps them cultivate what they're interested in.
Yeah.
Having G standards be that for people who want to come in and be competitive and treat it as a competitive thing when they start, like people who are the opposite of me.
Yeah.
But like I want Kendama to include everyone. Yeah. And so people who are the opposite of me should be able to come to Kendama and have have the thing that like helps them get to where they want to be and expressing themselves with the thing. Like now that exists.
Yeah.
And because for a long time it's been like, oh, the community, you know, it's super chill, like we're not really competitive, And now that it's like, I've heard you talk about this and I really like it. It's like you're saying, like, it's one of the coolest sports in the world. Like the biomechanics of tapping, like this is like something that you can make documentaries about. It can be in the Olympics. It's so
you can take things from every sport and then put them on the Kendama.
Exactly, you can. And that needs to be pushed and showcased. The highest level of competition in Kendama is, my voice is gone. I don't lose my voice from yelling in my regular life. No, dude. Right? Yeah. Like I lose my voice from watching like Nanoka and Edwin freestyle against each other, and watching Yasu do stuff and being like, oh my god. Hey. Crap, dude.
Nike drip. Yeah.
Jailbreak the Tesla.
Jailbreak the Tesla. Yeah. Dude, do you want to finish up?
Yeah. And I guess this is a pretty nice capstone in the arch. Like, the beauty of Kendama is how many things one can express with a simple object.
Yeah.
And as we have realized that is so big, the resources that Kendama provides to accommodate everyone who wants to come into Kendama from everywhere, like, should be there if we wish to retain them and gain their contributions as players and people who take on Kendama and let it reflect their souls. And eventually Kendama will be a reflection of an amazing group of lots of different people. Like, Kendama right now is almost kind of like a ship in a bottle version of the world. Like, but the like representation proportions need to even out a little bit, but it is kind of like a micro world because we do sample from all around the globe, and it, lots more diversity in the last few years, and with that, Kendama can only grow and provide more potential and avenues for people to come into it and do the thing that they want to do. And as Kendama players, we need, because there's no imperative. You need. I think I need, or I want the Kendama community to have, when someone comes in, they're like, I want to be like this, the Kendama gets me stoked in these ways, oh, that's interesting to me, to be able to direct that person to be like, oh, well, there's, boom. You could go to a Kendama intensive, if you really like competing and you want to get really good and smoke pools on stage, like, go do G standards, go do a Kendama intensive, do Insta houses for 10 minutes, like, get your form dialed in, locked in, like, oh, you want to, like, you just want to, like, chill with your friends and sesh casually and like not worry about competition, just do it as like a fun thing. Like, there's jams everywhere, there's a million tricks you can learn, there's a bunch of sick edits for tricks that are attainable and different tricks that are hard and will take lots of satisfying time to grind. Like, it has the potential to be there for everyone, and we're pretty close.
We are,
and we're only getting closer. And I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. We'll be playing Kendama when we're in our 40s probably, and what it'll be then hopefully will be more towards this vision than it is now. But the progress we've made in the last 4 years is sick. Super sick. It's so much faster and more dynamic than it has been at any other point. And they just keep it going.
Dude, for sure, man. I don't know what even to add on to that. I think it's really beautifully said. And, bro. If I try to say something, I'm gonna probably cry. So we should just end it.
Fucking dog.
Dude. Thanks so much, man. Good times.
So glad we did this.
Dude. Let's go. Man. All right.
Yeah.
Bro.